Hi there. It's me, Rebecca. I am planning to do a feel good Pilates mat class. Um, yeah, all you need is a mat or some floor space. So we're going to go ahead and start on hands and knees here. And actually, the first thing we'll do is find a child's pose position. So go ahead and bring those hands a little further in front, maybe open the knees a little wider than hip distance. And let's just shift the hips back towards the heels, reaching long, finding some space in the shoulders and the side body, in the back and the chest. And then just kind of shift forward, finding a little bit of weight onto your shoulders. And we're just going to repeat this. So shifting back, big inhales, big exhales, and shifting forward. Kind of each time you shift forward, dropping those hips down a little bit, engaging the abdominal muscles, those shoulder muscles, the arms, just a little bit, nice and gentle. We're going to do that a couple more times. And noticing as you shift back each time, maybe you feel you can kind of get a little bit more space in the armpit area and the side body. Try to relax the head and neck as you're able to. Inhale, exhale. Now, the next time you shift forward, go ahead and start to line up your body so that you look a little bit more like a table. So wrists are in line with the shoulders, knees are in line with the hips. Maybe just kind of shift things around a little bit till it feels balanced for you. And what we're going to start with here is just rounding the spine. So pushing away and creating a curved shape with your back body, dropping the head, relaxing the neck. And then slowly coming out of that position, returning to that flat back. And let's do that one more time. Exhaling to round. Imagine you're kind of curling that tail underneath you, engaging the abdominal wall to help flex your spine. And then return to that nice flat back. So now let's make that movement a little smaller with the lower back. So when you exhale next time, think about your upper body from your ribs upward, your shoulders upward, staying nice and still. But you're just going to round a little bit through your low back so that you can feel those low core muscles tightening and contracting. And your tailbone is just kind of tucking underneath you a little bit. And then release back to what feels more like just a natural or neutral position for that low back. We'll do that one more time. Exhale, find a little rounding in that low back, really leading that movement by engaging those low core muscles, and then relax that low back down. Now we're going to move in the opposite position. So can you tilt your tailbone or the lowest part of your spine towards the ceiling? So you're kind of dropping your hips and ribs towards the mat. You'll feel a nice extension or arch in that lower back, and then return to what feels more like that neutral. So somewhere in between that flexion and extension. We'll do that one more time, just thinking about moving that tailbone towards the ceiling and returning to a neutral spine. So now from here, we'll make that extension a little bigger. So keeping your arms pushing and engaged, start to lift your heart and lift your chest a little bit, lift your gaze a little bit, keep pushing with the arms. Tilt that tailbone to the ceiling, and then imagine that you're just trying to lift up into a little bit more curve through that mid-upper back and neck, and then return to a more neutral position. Let's do that one more time. So you're going to find that nice cow stretch or that little bit of extension through the spine. You'll feel that sway back there, looking up. Arms are still pushing. And then return back to that flat back. Now from here, let's go back to that child's pose, pressing all the way back, and then slowly shift forward, dropping those hips down a little bit. Maybe walk the hands a little further forward here. And again, shifting back into that child's pose, reaching long with the arms. So you can get that nice side body stretch. And then back into that position where you load the shoulders a little bit. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and sit upright with our feet in front of us. You just need to make sure you have a little bit of space behind you. And once you're in that position with your knees bent, feet on the mat in front of you or the floor in front of you, hold on to the backside of your legs with your arms. So we're going to start in a nice upright position, and then we're going to think about that rounding of the low back again. So you're going to exhale, round, tucking your tailbone underneath you, and then pause once you feel like you kind of are limited either by the flexibility in your back or the length of your arms. And think about kind of pulling your shoulders back over your hips. And then at the top, lifting the heart and the chest, extending the spine, sitting upright. So you'll feel a little more engagement in the back muscles in terms of they're contracting, they're helping pull you upright. Now we're going to stretch and round those back muscles again, engaging the low core, finding that little tuck, feeling that little pelvic floor, low core, little bit of a tightening of the hip flexors here. And then on your next breath, just bring everything forward and extend your spine upright. Now you can continue to hold on with your hands. If you prefer to feel a little bit more of those abdominals just waking up gently, you can bring your arms in front of you, and we're going to round to that lower back. Perhaps you could roll back a little bit more. If you get to the point where your legs are lifting up, maybe you've gone a little too far just for our purposes right in this moment. So you're going to pause and then exhale. Use your front body, your abdominal muscles to help pull you forward, and then lift yourself up, stacking shoulders over ribs over hips. And we'll do that one more time. So again, that nice engagement to the low core. So those lowest abdominal muscles really help to guide you back. Then you take a little pause and exhale, curl all the way up. Once the shoulders are over the hips, extending the spine, sitting nice and tall. Now from here, we'll bring the arms by our side and just sort of scoot our tailbone a little closer to our heels. Once you're in that position, slowly roll all the way down to the mat until you're laying flat. Arms can go ahead and rest on your belly. Keep your knees bent. And we're going to find our breath laying here and just allow from the back of the head all the way down to the tailbone, the body to relax down into the mat, melt down. And just take a moment to release any tension you're holding onto in the head, neck, the shoulders, even the middle of the back here, or the glutes or hips. So big inhale, feel the body lift up, feel the belly puff up, feel the chest expand, feel the ribs expand, and big exhale. Let everything go as you press that air out. So allow it to be really exaggerated and over the top. And again, big breath in. Big breath out. We usually in the breathing process feel the most comfortable expanding in the upper part of our trunk. But for our purposes, especially when we come to a Pilates practice, we want to start to think about lower in the core, lower in the belly. So start to feel like this part of your trunk is not as involved in terms of movement with the breathing process, and just focus on sending that breath a little bit lower. So if you can kind of let your hands hang out at or around the belly button, try to relax the upper arms and the shoulders, and the chest stays open. And we're just going to think about lifting, as you breathe in, you'll feel that lift through the lower belly, that puffing up through the lower belly. So imagine that your lower belly is like a puffer fish, right? Or a balloon filling up with air. And then as you exhale, let all that air go, and maybe start to think of softening the middle and lower back into the mat with each exhale. Okay, let's do that just maybe 3 more times. Inhale and exhale. And again. Again, this is just a moment to try to focus on that air low in the belly, low in the core, relaxing through the head, the neck, the back of the shoulders, the back of the ribs. We're going to add a little bit of movement to that. So the next time that you exhale, I want you to think about pressing the small of the back much more intentionally into the mat so that you feel like you're rounding a little bit to that lower back, just like we started in that cat position or cat stretch position. And then on the inhale, just release that contraction of those low core muscles and hip flexors, and also just that little tuck. We're releasing it on the inhale. So exhale, finding that press, engaging those lowest, deepest core muscles, maybe feeling like you're engaging pelvic floor a little bit, and then inhale, release. And this movement, as simple as it is, it's going to feel natural to some people and awkward for others. Just it might have to do with maybe how tight some of the muscles are in their lower back or in their mid back. It also may have a little to do with just the shape of their spine or even the tightness in the front of the body. So we're going to go ahead and bring the arms by our side now and come into our first full exercise, laying down. So think first about the placement of your heels. They should be in pretty close to you, not so close. I'll show you an exaggeration. We don't want them so close that there's no space for your knees. But if you were to lift your head, neck, and shoulders and just kind of slide your fingertips towards your heels, they should be able to almost make contact with the heels. So if that's the case for you, then go ahead and just lay the head, neck, and shoulders down. And then make sure your feet aren't too far apart. So if the feet are as wide as the mat, that's a bit too far for our purposes here. Try to bring them in so they're more in line with the narrowest part of your hip or right there with your hip, your sits bones. So you think hips, knees, and then on down to the heels. So from here, we're going to think about staying open through the chest, relax through the head and neck. And we're going to find that exhale rounding through the lower back first, curling the tail, lifting the hips, lifting the lower back, lifting the middle back, lifting the rib cage off the mat. When you get to that first Pilates bridge, you're going to take a breath in and pause. And then on your exhale, just slowly lower down, one bone at a time. So these bridges are focused on articulation of the spine. Inhaling, and then that articulation means we're simply going to peel the spine away from the mat, really taking our time. It's a very deliberate movement, lifting one bone at a time, pausing at the top. On your next exhale, slowly articulate all the way down. You'll notice as you tuck and start to lift up and press those hips up to the ceiling that you'll find a little bit of opening or space in the front of those hip creases, in the front of those legs here, right? So if you're super tight there, this might feel kind of like a limiting factor, and that's okay. We'll warm up a little bit as we go, and then slowly lower down. Now we're going to repeat that a few more times. Start to think a little bit about the space between your knees and the engagement between your thigh bones. So as you lift up, imagine you're kind of squeezing in between your knees a yoga block, something that you don't want to have drop down. And it's going to keep a little bit more engagement in the backside of the body, in the hips, in the inner hips. And you're just going to slowly keep that connection as you roll through, one bone at a time. And repeat. Now this next time, maybe focus a little bit more on the bottoms of the feet. So we want even real estate, all corners of the feet pressing down, trying not to let your ankles roll in or out, finding a nice pause at the top and slowly articulating down. We'll do that one more time. As you lift up through the hips and load those feet, think of pushing down with the arms, keeping your chest open, finding a little extra oomph on this last one. Again, trying not to let those knees fall open to the side, and then slowly articulate all the way down. Now, once you get there, go ahead and reach both arms up to the ceiling. Make sure you have a little bit of space overhead. We're going to reach one arm overhead as the opposite arm comes towards the hip, towards the ground. Take a moment where those arms are reaching away from each other as much as they're able to. And then scissor the arms slowly through the breath. Inhale, exhale. As you do this, if you need to adjust the range of motion overhead, totally fine. Go as much as you're able to. It's okay for that back to arch off the mat here. You'll just start to notice that movement of the arms overhead. Create some nice movement through the shoulders, through the spine, through the ribs, maybe even a stretch in that side body. We're going to do that again. Then go ahead and bring both of your hands, interlace like so, behind your head. Once you're there, allow your head to rest in your hands and all the way down on the mat, and just feel your elbows are a little bit in your side vision, and imagine your arms and your hands are just a hammock for your head to rest in. We're going to take a breath in to prepare, and then on your next exhale, start to lift the head, neck, and shoulders into a little crunch. We call this a chest lift in Pilates. When you get to the top, you're looking towards those knees. Take a breath in, and then exhale, lower back down. So slow and controlled. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, it's the abdominal wall lifting. Your head gets to rest heavy in the hands. Inhale at the top, looking towards those knees. Exhale, lower down. Don't over fixate on range of motion here. If your back is a little bit tight, or if your head, neck, and shoulders feel a little bit heavy here, that's okay. Just think about engaging from here and slowly lowering back down. So you'll feel the tightest part of this is probably in that upper mid back. For me, it's in between the shoulder blades. I get a little tight there. So at this point, it's like I can't go too much farther. It's a real struggle. A little pause and then lower down. Now we're going to lift and hold. So the next time you lift up, hold at that top position, and then take your hands and grab to both sides of your legs. From here, we're going to take an additional exhale and either maintain this or try to lift a little bit deeper. And then once you're in that position, inhale, bring your hands back behind your head, and exhale, slowly release those abdominals to lower the head back down. Let's do that one more time. Exhale to lift. Inhale to reach. Exhale to deepen. Inhale to bring those hands back. And exhale to lower all the way down. Now from here, arms are going to open out to a T. If you're limited in space, just come to the outsides of your hips and palms facing up. Walk those legs together like so. And think about your shoulders, your arms, everything from the upper ribs up, staying as still as possible. And then we're just going to let both of the legs go over to one side. Think about the legs staying stacked. So the leg that is twisting away, or the top leg rather, is kind of stacked on top of the other. And then your eyes stay towards the ceiling. Now there's a moment here where you should most definitely feel optimal kind of space or stretch. You're going to be tempted to let everything go, and try not to do that. Try to keep that connection with the upper part of your spine, the shoulders and the arms. And then on your next exhale, think of your waist pulling the weight of your legs back to the start. Now, if you do it quickly without thinking, you're not going to connect very much with your waist. But if you really try to focus on that slow, controlled movement, it's going to feel a little bit easier to notice how we're using those cross body muscles on the exhale to bring the weight of the lower half back to center. Now we'll come back to that in just a little bit, more challenging version. But for now, we're going to take those hands and bring them back to our low core. Now, once you're there, let's separate the feet and knees a little bit. Relax again to the head, neck, and shoulders. Bring your right leg into a bent position. Now, Pilates, we call this tabletop. The perfect tabletop is knee directly over hip, lower leg parallel to the ground. And you'll notice that my tabletop is rarely perfect. So a lot of times my leg is lifted a little bit higher. The only thing we're really avoiding with tabletop is we don't want the start to position to be here, right? Because you really want to engage the hip flexors here and work on stability through that pelvic lumbar region. So we're going to keep that leg in a nice bent position, and you're just going to slowly take the shape of that leg down on the inhale and up on the exhale, just like that. Now let's only do one more like that. Inhale to lower, practicing the shape is lowering, the leg is staying in the same position, we're moving at the hip. So I'll switch to the other leg real quick so we can practice on the other leg. I think here that the leg is cemented in a cast. You're just letting the shape of the leg lower on the inhale, lift on the exhale. One more time. Notice I'm trying really hard not to change the position of my trunk. So as I lower, I don't want to arch. As I lift, I don't want to round. All right. Now we're going to lift both legs up into that bent position and keep those hands here. I call this the sort of epicenter, the powerhouse, keeping us really engaged, really turned on. That place where we started focusing on breath. So we're going to make sure we're not lifting our back off the mat here. We're keeping all of those core muscles tight. We're going to just slowly take the shape of one leg at a time, down on the inhale and up on the exhale. And switch, down on the inhale up on the exhale. Now notice that I'm trying to keep the pace both directions the same. So as I lift the leg up on the exhale, I'm trying for it not to be a right? So we're trying to cut out momentum for our purposes here. So it's a little bit of that stability training, and we're working on that. You want to hold those muscles under tension and really double down on control, using that breath to keep everything really tight against the abdominal wall, the side body, and even the back body against the mat. Go ahead and do that one more time. Each leg, inhale to lower, exhale to lift. And again. Beautiful. Now from here, we're going to return to that spine twist. This time, legs will be lifted, arms come out wide. Once you're in that position, I like to keep the legs towards each other. They don't have to stay towards each other. And perhaps if your hips don't allow that, then just let your feet kind of stay a little connected. The knees can be a little bit open. We're going to think about shoulders down. We're going to start that twist over to one side. Now, as I twist, the opposite hip that I'm twisting away from is lifting up and my knees are staying stacked. You don't want to twist so far that you start to arch your back and disconnect from those abdominals. So try to keep the arm and shoulder down, and through the exhale, use your waist to come back to center. And then over to the other side. Inhale and exhale. Right? So starting to feel not only those waist muscles, those back muscles, but if you're not used to this position with your legs, you may be feeling the front of the hips pretty intensely. We're going to go over from side to side. Inhale and exhale. This is a lot less range of motion than a sort of more feel-good twist, even though this is a feel-good class. It is Pilates after all. So after we finish one more rep on each side, we'll go ahead and do a more feel-good rotation. Exhale. One more each direction. Inhale to twist. Exhale, using the core, the waist to come back to center, and over to the other side. And back to center. Once you come back to center, go ahead and rest your feet down on the mat. Maybe separate those feet now about as wide as the mat, and just let both knees fall over to one side. Take a couple of breaths here. Inhale, exhale. This is a nice release for the hips. And then back to center and over to the other side. You might feel a little different on the other side. Maybe one hip is a little tighter than the other. Big breath in, big breath out. And then slowly come back to center. Now, once you come back to center here, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more abdominal work. So what I'm going to ask you to do is interlace your hands again behind your head and rest your head in your hands. And remember, the head is going to act as a nice, or the arms rather, are going to act as a nice placement, a hammock for your head to rest in. Now from here, we're going to lift just one leg up into tabletop. Keep that tabletop position, and we're going to do 3 chest lifts, all right? So that crunch we did before. You're going to exhale to lift. We'll do this one a little faster, and then inhale to lower. And 2 more. Exhale, abdominal wall lifts you up, and then you slowly release those muscles as you lower. And 1 more. Perfect. So now from here, we're going to go ahead and extend that leg out long so it's hovering right above the ground. And on your next exhale, as you lift into chest lift, bend that knee in towards you. So it's like a little crunch. And then inhale, reach that leg out long. 2 more. Exhale to curl in. Inhale to reach it out. Beautiful. So now we're going to go ahead and keep that leg straight. As you lift up the next time into your chest lift, straight leg can lift towards you. Inhale to lower. 2 more. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. And then relax that leg down. Go ahead and straighten the left leg out. Straighten both arms overhead and just feel a reach. Fingertips away from feet, fingertips away from toes. Then we're going to interlace the hands behind our head again. Bend both knees back in. And we're going to prepare for our chest lift on the other side. So float that left leg into tabletop. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. 2 more. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. And 1 more. Now as you lower down here, reach that left leg long towards the ground, or whatever leg you're on. I always do right and left. Now you're going to exhale, lift. Inhale, lower, bending that knee towards you. So it's going to feel a little more like a crunch. And you're also going to notice your back might be warming up a little bit now. Now the leg's going to stay straight. So as you lift, straight leg lifts. As you lower, straight leg lowers. 2 more. 1 more. You're going to lower that leg all the way down. Straighten both legs, straighten both arms overhead. Big reach, fingertips one direction, toes the other direction. Now we're going to go ahead and keep those arms overhead. Bend those knees back in so the feet are flat. And then go ahead and hover those arms off the ground so they're reaching overhead. If this range of motion overhead is too much for you, you can go ahead and bring your arms a little higher up or even towards the ceiling. So I'm going to have my palms facing away. Inhale to prepare. I'm going to exhale, lift the head, neck, and shoulders. This time, arms come by our side. Find that nice curl up. And then inhale to lower back down. Arms can either stop here or they can go all the way overhead. Let's do that again. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. 1 more like that. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower down. Now from here, we're going to interlace the hands again, last time, and float both legs up into tabletop. So you're going to keep that tabletop position. And the first thing we'll do is 1 chest lift up and down. So you're going to exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Now we're going to exhale, lift, and hold. Exhale to lift and hold. From here, stay lifted. Inhale, reach 1 leg long. Exhale, bring it in. Now the other leg. Inhale and exhale. 3 more sets, slow and controlled. Inhale. Two more sets. Working hard to keep that chest lift. If the hands behind the head are not comfortable, you can bring your arms long. 1 more set. And then hug your knees in. Take a little rock from side to side. Good. Now from here, let's just kind of rock and roll ourselves a few times until we're sitting upright. And we're going to go ahead and come on to hands and knees again. This time, we'll set ourselves up for wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll start this time with that cow stretch, extending the spine, dropping that abdominal wall down a little bit so you can get a little stretch, and then rounding, tucking the tail under, finding that nice cat stretch. Now from here, find a flat back position, arms nice and straight, and we're going to go into some shoulder blade push-ups. So arms are not going to bend at the elbow, but you're going to think about dropping your chest down towards the mat a little bit and squeezing or pinching your shoulder blades together, and then spreading your shoulder blades broad, puffing up that upper back and lifting your chest and ribs away from the mat. Do that again. Inhale, squeezing, drawing those shoulders together. Exhale, spreading the shoulder blades broad, east to west, across that upper back. And we'll do that 2 more times. This is just kind of a little bit of shoulder maintenance, shoulder rehab, depending on what's going on with your shoulders. Now what we're going to do is keep that nice position where we're really strong and stable in our shoulders. And I want to think about something that will seem simple but not feel simple. So making sure those knees are still underneath the hips, we're going to take our left hand. Let's just assume most of us are right-handed. So we'll start with that stronger arm here. so we can really feel an optimal position. That left hand is going to reach in front of you, coming onto the fingertips. And just that slight change, you're going to notice more of a load on this right side. Holding everything strong, I want you to slowly start to lift that left arm in front of you as high as you would like to lift it, and exhale lower. Repeat 3 times. Your only real thing you have to focus on here is not collapsing, which should take pretty much all of your effort. And inhale to lift, exhale to lower. One more. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Slide your left hand back underneath your left shoulder. Right fingertips come in front of you. Get ready to really work and load that left side. You should already feel the difference. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Don't collapse. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. 2 more. I know I'm not going fast. That's intentional. And down. Core stays tight. 1 more. Now both hands come to down. Shift back into a child's pose. Big stretch here. Roll out those wrists if they're all tender. Now, from here, we're going to come back into hands and knees. This time, we're going to focus on the bottom half of the body in terms of movement. But the shoulders are going to be working really hard so that you never feel like your upper body is relaxed here. If you're starting to relax or collapse, you'll notice a bend of the arms and a collapse of those shoulders. So really try to keep everything active as you slide your right leg behind you. Once you're there, keep everything strong. And before you even do anything with that right leg, just feel that the rest of your body should always feel like it's holding a plank, right? It's not as bad as a real plank, but it's like getting there. So we're going to start to slowly lift that right leg up and down. Inhale, exhale. And the whole time you do that, try to imagine that it is in no way changing the position in your arms, chest, shoulders, or left side. Inhale and exhale. And again. We're going to go ahead and do 4 more. Keep pushing with those arms. No collapsing if you can avoid it. And 3, slow and controlled. And 2, and last 1. And then bend that knee, bring it underneath you. Shift back into child's pose. Give the shoulders a little bit of a break. Then come back onto hands and knees. Setting ourselves up for the other side. We'll slide that left leg behind us. Before we even lift it, you'll notice if one side is a little bit, this side's a little weaker for me. I tend to kind of externally rotate a lot. So I'm going to try to keep myself from shifting my weight over to the right. So we're going to really be strong here. No collapsing. Start to lift that leg up and down. I've checked myself the whole time because this side is weaker and less coordinated. Arms are strong, always pushing, always pretending you're doing a plank. Core's always tight. We're not taking a vacation with the upper body by any means. Inhale, exhale, 4 more. Last one. And just acknowledging that side might have felt stronger or weaker for you. There's always going to be the case, or at least for me. Roll out those wrists if they're feeling a little bit tender. And then we're going to go ahead and come on back upright to a seated position with the legs in front of us, knees bent, feet on the mat. I'm going to scoot forward a little bit so I have some space behind me. And we're going to, my neck was like a little tight, had to adjust it. We're going to start sitting upright again. And then this time, same thing as before. Maybe we feel a little warmer though. We're going to round through our low back, imprint, tuck, curl. Come back to that little C-curve position and pause. Then take a breath in. And on your next exhale, arms can assist here initially. We're just going to bring the shoulders back over the hips. Then we're going to reach those arms long in front of us. Same thing. Maybe you can go a little further back here. Totally up to you. A little pause. Keep your front body super engaged because it's going to curl you back up, right? And then you're going to lift your shoulders over your ribs, over your hips. A little bit of a challenge here. So I want you to curl back and hold. Find a little bit of tension. Inhale, lift your arms up a little bit. Exhale, lower your arms down. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale, lift your arms up a little bit. Exhale, lower your arms down. 2 more. Inhale and exhale. Keep it here, not here. 1 more. Inhale and exhale. And take a pause and curl all the way up. Straighten your legs in front of you. Take a little stretch forward. Lift back our spine up. Now in this position, I'm going to be sitting with my legs straight out in front of me. That's not going to feel great for everybody. Many reasons why. None of them are wrong. It's just the way we're built. So it might feel better to keep your knees bent. It might feel better to widen your legs. It might feel better to open your hips. You could also roll up your mat. You could sit on a bolster or a pillow to elevate yourself up. Here's why. I want our shoulders over our ribs, over our hips. If we're super tight here, we're going to have a hard time doing that with legs straight out in front. So find what works for you. Any modification would be fine with me. So just sitting up tall, shoulders over ribs, over hips. It's probably not perfect, but it's the best that I can do. And then we're going to take our hands and bring them to the sides of our head. So it's a little different from our chest lift. Hands aren't going to be all the way here. They're going to be right to the outside of the head. And you're just going to think about sitting as tall as humanly possible. Now, this in and of itself is a lot to ask, right? So if I were to tell you to stay here for a minute, you probably would roll your eyes, not want to do it. I certainly would. But we're going to not stay here for a minute. We're going to start to move a little bit. I want you to think about your feet, your knees, your hips staying still. And we're going to start to twist twist towards me, whatever way you're viewing me. And just think about staying upright as you twist and then come back through center. Now we're going to twist away. So exhale to twist. Staying as tall as possible, inhale to center. 1 more time each direction. As you twist, try very hard not to let your spine flex or press your head down. Try to keep everything super upright. 1 more time to twist away. And then as you come back to center, take your arms and open them out into what we call goalpost position, right? So pretend you're getting ready for the Super Bowl here. You got a field goal post. Now we're going to start to twist. Notice maybe you have more range of motion and come back to center. Try to get out of here and into that mid back as you twist. So as you twist, I'm hoping you can feel some of those muscles between your hips and your shoulders, really actively helping you, being the main movers to rotate you and back to center. And again, if you've never done Pilates, you're probably thinking, this is feel good Pilates. I think it is. It is. Open out. We're going to let those palms just kind of be open. I don't want the arms to feel like rigid poles. So we're out of that field goal analogy and into like feather light wings. So we're going to twist. I know that was stupid. We're going to twist, 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 twist. Stay tall and back to center. Twist. See how hard it is to stay tall? We're going to do 1 more each direction. Twist. And again, twist. And as you come back to center, relax your arms down. Bend the knees. Bring your arms behind you a little bit to the side. Let your knees go over to one side, back to center, over to the other side. You can still think about keeping the spine nice and long here. Now, we're going to do 1 more thing seated for core. So you're going to come back to that bent leg position with your arms here, hands holding onto the backs of the thighs, and we're going to go into a flat back hinge. So instead of rounding, we're going to think about the front and back body really supporting the spine or the innards, right? So imagine that your spine is the meat, your abdominals and your back are the sandwich bread, and you got everything smashed together here. Now, with that in mind, we're going to just take a simple hinge. Everyone's range of motion will be different here. You're going to feel at a certain point that you can't go farther because either your arms are not long enough or your legs start hovering. So take that little hinge and then come right back up. Let's do that 1 more time. Hinging back, keeping everything engaged, continuing to breathe, and then come all the way up. Now those arms go in front of us. So we're going to hinge back, pause, quiver, keep this tight, and all the way back up. I'm sure I didn't do that perfectly, but the idea is that you go back, you want to keep the flat back. You don't want to round And you don't want to arch, but everything is just kind of sturdy, like a plank of wood, and you come back. Let's do that one more time. Yes, your hip flexors might not be too pleased. Hinge, 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 hinge. And then come all the way back up, straighten your legs, take a little stretch forward. Now from here, take your time to lay on your belly. And once you're on your belly, you're going to want your hands right above your shoulders, your forearms down. And just maybe let your forehead rest on the mat for a moment. Feel long through the neck. Start to push into your palms and forearms, but don't lift the forearms. And just start to lift your gaze and lift your heart, looking up and curling the head and the neck and the chest off the mat, and then slowly placing everything back down in reverse. Let's do that one more time. Lifting the back of the head, lifting the chin, lifting the throat, lifting the heart, lifting the chest, and then lower all the way down. Now, once you get down here, go ahead and bring your arms right by the sides of your legs and squeeze your palms, your forearms, and your upper arms into your side body, and think of rolling your shoulders up and back. This in and of itself should feel intense, right? So you've already engaged that upper back. The whole back body's like, hello. And then we're going to think about keeping that intensity with the arms. And imagine your head is like a helium balloon. So on your next inhale, that helium balloon starts to float up, and that peels your spine up into extension. And then on the exhale, carefully float back down. Let's do that 2 more times. Keep the squeeze, even though it's not awesome. Try to really find that it's all back. No cheating to lift. And take as many breaths as you need to. I know this feels a little awkward in terms of the breathing. We'll do one more. Beautiful. Now you're going to bring your hands back in front of you. This time, maybe slide them a bit forward. Push into your hands. Straighten your arms if you'd like. Extend your spine all the way up. And then slowly lower back down. Now we're going to push all the way up, past hands and knees, into child's pose. Big stretch back. Roll out those wrists a little bit if they're tender. We're going to take a little shoulder stretch. So for that shoulder stretch, let's thread one arm underneath, reaching it to the opposite side, palm faces up. Allow the side of your head to rest on the mat. And so you're reaching away from that side. So you get a little twist, and then you're trying to rest onto that stretching shoulder with your body weight to give it a little bit of space. And you can always back off if it's too much. Slowly switch to the other side. Just a little twist and a little stretch here. Then we're going to bring both hands back in front of us. Find hands and knees one last time. Round through the spine, stretchy, stretchy. Push, push, push. Engage through the core. Lift the heart, lift the chest, extend through the back, looking up. And do that one more time. Rounding. And extending. Very good. Thanks for doing some Pilates with me. Yeah, hopefully that felt good. It certainly felt good to me. And I'll see you guys next time.